Why climb the corporate ladder when you can build one? Fuck it. I'll just go buy the ladder. That's something that you said.
Oh,
Why do you
okay.
want to buy the ladder?
Okay, so there's a couple of I guess a couple of points in there that I should clarify. First is why have a ladder to begin with. That really goes back to probably my upbringing, and I would say almost everybody's upbringing, right? The chances of my mom and dad meeting, or your mom and dad meeting, right, is very slim. The chances of that perfect sperm meeting that perfect egg at that perfect moment is like 1 in 100 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you make it through this whole gestational period, and bacteria didn't eat you alive, or some virus, or syphilis, and then you're born. And I figure with all that, not even counting in all the things that happen through all life, that we've been given this opportunity, why not make the best of it? And for me, it's going into entrepreneurship so that I can make the best of myself. And entrepreneurship isn't for everybody, and maybe the path is you're the best artist you can be, or the best athlete. For me, I think it's always been like, I'm going to own my own business, and I'm gonna try and go as far as I can until I can't go anymore. So that's part A. Part B to that, as opposed to starting a ladder and buying a ladder. Well, I've started businesses before, and some were successful. Many have failed. The ones that were successful, I can tell you, the startup phase, the marketing, getting the people together, coordinating things, banking, cash, accounting. There's so much behind the scenes, and then you got to find a client. On the other hand, if you buy a business, right, that's established, somebody's already done that legwork, ahead of time. It's de-risked. And so you're buying a book of business, you're buying some sort of infrastructure, you're buying some sort of team. And for me, that was much more appealing to kind of have a head start. And now I can take what I've learned in my past and implement systems and processes to grow those businesses and scale.
Right. That. So that makes perfect sense. Like, why buy the ladder? Because I think it can relate to, number one, climbing the corporate ladder. And it's like, you just have to get ahead. But also, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to climb the ladder. Like you said, you have to put a team together. You have to figure out your processes in place. You have to basically build everything from scratch. You have to wear all kinds of different hats. And even then, you're not guaranteed to be successful. Because like you said, the hardest thing, people talk to me all the time, is like, how do I get clients? That's kind of the hardest thing people work for. So if you can go in, bypass all of that and start at something that's already successful, and then you could put your own stamp on it or do whatever it is you want to do to make it even more successful. Yeah. Then it's like, I feel like, how much of a leeway is that? Is it like you get to 80% there, you 90% there? Or is it like, you know what I mean? In terms of how much does it actually short circuit?
It depends, because there's businesses of all type out there, right? So for myself, I have a number that I focus on, because anything too small would mean that I've bought myself a job. Anything too large, I'm competing against, say, private equity or bigger conglomerates out there buying companies. And so there's a sweet spot for me. And within that sweet spot, it's usually owner-operators who are motivated to get out. And right now, it's not surprising to walk into a company, at least in my sector, which I can tell you about in a little bit, to find a 75-year-old man at the helm. And it's because a lot of them, I do find they are passionate and they enjoy what they do. But a big thing is there's no succession plan. And so all over the world, and we'll use our market in particular, there's going to be a lot of companies that are going to shut down in the next few years without anybody taking them over, whether that's buying them or having a son or daughter in the family to carry that tradition or legacy on. It's just going to turn the key, unfortunately, because there's just not enough leaders and entrepreneurs out there to even take that.
That's crazy. So it seems like it's a lost opportunity, but maybe you can also think about it as an opportunity for a lot of people who want to get into the entrepreneurship game to maybe think about not starting from scratch, but to think about what opportunities are available in their local area.
Yeah, exactly. And so that for me, that was much more appealing. And it was through happenstance that I learned about mergers and acquisitions and got into that. And like, well, why start something, take all that risk, put up the capital, build the team, all the things that we just mentioned. Yeah. Or you can go buy it, make sure that the cash flow makes sense for what you're gonna buy it for, and then put your skills in to grow it. Right. The other cool thing about these businesses that are long established is most of the owners, if you've survived a certain period, you're doing okay. You tend to take your foot off the gas, and so your level of motivation and ambition isn't that high to continue to improve or compete. And so now we've got some new blood in the building or in the shop or the business. And I've got my own lens on it, and I usually bring a team with me, or I hire a team. And then we're able to exploit new opportunities and new avenues for whether it's revenue or profit. So
Right. It's like you're just putting like rocket fuel onto the ship that's just kind of sitting there ready to go.
It's been ready to go. That's the thing. It's constantly doing its thing. It's not I shouldn't say not broken. Some of them are, they need some help.
Yeah.
But they've been producing cash. They've got their market share.
Right,
So
they got the clients.
take that. You've got a base.
Yeah, I could imagine, especially if it's like, I said older guys that are running their shops or whatever it is, and they might not have been the best at adopting new technologies. You can just go in there and start like, automating certain processes and probably like just 5x the revenue or whatever without doing hardly anything.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first companies I bought, right, low-hanging fruit was they didn't really have a proper accounting system, and so they couldn't track their costs. I'm like, so by making this modest investment of whatever it was at the time to put a proper accounting software and put in a proper controller in the company, financial controller, she probably picked up 5-6% margin for us just by having that little investment.
That's crazy.
But for the old owner, it wasn't a priority. It wasn't on the radar. It was like, hey, you know what? This has fed my family for years. I'm doing okay.
Yeah, it's not broke. Why fix it?
Exactly. That and if you don't keep up with industry trends and things that are happening too, right? You kind of get left behind too, and especially in this day and age, we were just talking about AI there, right? That's. You've probably heard it a million times, I'm sure, and a lot of people have. But if you're not part of it, you will get left behind.
Absolutely. We're gonna dive into the mergers and acquisitions because I think that's really fascinating. Just very quickly, can you just tell our audience like what industry do you focus in, just so they have some context here?
Yeah. So what I do, it's not sexy. It doesn't make viral trends. It's construction. It's much needed. It's an integral part of the economy. And to me, it's an industry that as AI technology advances, right, it's going to disrupt a lot. But I think in construction, we're still going to need somebody to build houses, fill the holes, build the roof on the hospital,
build the roads,
the glass,
roads. It's like the whole infrastructure.
Yeah,
I don't think people don't realize how critical construction is.
It's just one of those unsung heroes behind the scenes. But you look at we're in Halifax right now, right? And you look at the names of the big buildings that are around here that are sponsored, whether it's the YMCA or rec center or a new school coming up, right? They're usually named after these larger construction companies or families that you know of that we all know about. So but it's kind of like right there in plain sight. But
if no one knows about it, right? They just go about their day. It's like, oh yeah, it's just a building or what have you.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? In the last few years, I think there's been a bigger push towards getting kids out of high school going into the trades. Whereas I think the era when you and I grew up, right, it was, hey, go to university and go get your arts degree or get whatever it was,
whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, and now I think there's this revert to, going to trade, going to plumbing, going to drywalling, going to whatever, right? Which I think is good for short term, but I don't know if that's the right thing long term either. So.
Oh, really? Why is that?
It's just going to fill up with a large influx, I feel. And and at some point, this is a much different conversation about population decline and all that, right? Mm-hmm. But at some point, you've got baby boomers tailing off. A population coming up that isn't going to fill that void. And so is there really going to be a demand for that infrastructure, all that housing, building, hospitals, schools down the road, right? Whether that's 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. But this big push right now is more of a knee-jerk reaction to saying, hey, we have a shortage. Let's get a whole bunch of trades in, which is great for our industry right now. I don't know how that will fare in the long run, but we'll see.
But at least for you as owner, I mean, you're the owner of everything, right? So at least you're always going to be having things to do because there's always going to need some type of construction. But yeah, there might not be as need for as many as there are now.
That's right. And if anything, you know what, it'll give us more of a talent pool to choose from. And competition out there is good. When I think probably the time when we graduated, you had to try for your job. You had to have a polished resume, some references. You had to dress up. You had to make the interview. You had to knock on many, many doors, right?
Yep.
And in today's day and age, it doesn't really matter what industry you talk to. They're just short people, and in a way, you're willing to lower your standards to take on people, and it's unfortunate. So I think maybe a bit of a correction and having a surplus of people is going to help everybody.
Oh man, those are really interesting dynamics. I think it's important for me to just myself to consider because I'm getting to the point now where I know I'm going to need to start bringing on some people. Yeah. So I'm really curious to see what that is going to be like. I mean, we're in completely different industries, but I think the point still remains the same: is that there's it seems, at least to me, there's more and more people that are kind of trying to get into that creative space and just be digital nomads. And I just work from home on my laptop era, you know, and then I know Photoshop or whatever. And it seems like it might be a slog to try to find the right type of people. So anyways, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And, you know, I don't know your field that well, but from the surface or an outsider looking in, right, seeing how creatives are almost commoditized now. When you look at Fiverr and Canva and all these platforms, and now it's a global economy where you have your pick of who do you want for your content creator, or who you want for your editor and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about quality and all that. That might be hit and miss, but I guess the pool's grown.
I think it's the same thing for you, where there's lots of people that could watch a couple YouTube videos and be like, "Hey, I'm a designer now." It's like, no, not quite.
Not quite.
There's still a little bit more work that needs to be done.
That's right. It's still a craft that you gotta hone and get good at, right?
Right.
So.
Okay, I want to dive a little bit more into your past. And one thing that we had before we got on the show, we had a little conversation, and you told me that you've been fired from more jobs than you can remember.
Yes.
Why is that?
Maybe it's not completely all fired. I've counted one day, right? All my my T4s, not T4s, but the NOAs that I've had ever since I started working. I've had 37 jobs. And some of them were, you know, just short-term jobs where, you know, you work out of Robin's Donuts for the summer or whatnot,
sure.
Right? Manure drives, whatever. And others were professional careers that some might call. But I think what it boils down to is I never really fit in. Part of it is I was always looking to grow, and if I couldn't find a way to grow out of my position, then I've got to go find another place. Now that goes against conventional wisdom, and everybody says, you know, hold on to a job as long as you can, build up your resume, build up a good reference, and then when you leave, you've got options, or you've got somebody giving you a good reference to go to your next career path.
Right.
I never really saw that because your relationship with any company is only one man, one woman thick. If that boss I reported to, who I was loyal to, got promoted or went somewhere else because life happens, then so does that relationship, and so does my track record and reference. So selfishly, I probably looked at it as, how can I grow from this position and move on? And I never aimed for perfection when I was in these jobs. It was more about how can I get close enough to mastery and then say, okay, I'm good now, and move on. Because like, let's say, look at both of our English, right? I would say our English is pretty good. We're probably, say, 95%, not 100%. You'd have to be a linguistic specializing in English to get to 100%. And maybe even then you don't, right? You get to 99 point whatever, right?
Right.
But to go from 95 to 99 or whatever it is, that's mastering a craft. Yeah. So is it worth it? And so in the fields that I was in, right? Let's say it was management and retail. I figured, okay, I can be a merchant. I know how to buy material. I can merchandise. I can operate. I can lead people. I'd say I got to the 99.5% mark where I'm like, okay, to master this, what am I going to do? Stay in this career for 40 years and retire with a gold badge? And that was never really in it for me, right? And so it was find the next thing to go and grow. And I think that's something you have to have in you if you're going to be an entrepreneur. You're not going to settle and let somebody else dictate your path.
Right.
And so it didn't matter how good the company was, because I worked for some really fantastic companies. And looking back at why some of them fired me, I was like, you know what? I would have fired me too. Well, I wasn't a fit. I didn't fit in the culture.
Right.
Mostly I didn't fit in the culture. And when you're planning out long haul for succession planning, I wasn't going to be there anyway.
Yeah. So. It's interesting taking a look back at, you know, when you've been fired and what it means. And if you think it's, like, I remember I've been fired twice. Yeah. And I remember them very vividly. And the first time I was fired, it was a job. And it was the same thing through. At the start, I was like, how dare they fire me? I'm like the best worker they ever had. And now looking back, they 100% should have fired me, and I should have quit long ago.
Yes.
And it was one of my first jobs out of university, and it was a tech job. And I was just doing web development. And the first day I sat in on the job, the first minute, I'm like, I hate this. Yeah. I felt in every ounce of my being, I was like, this is not for me.
Yep.
But I just pushed through. Everyone was telling me, oh, just push through. It's okay. You know, learn the skills.
Right.
Just put in the time. It'll get better. And it's a good job right now. everything will be fine. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to push through it. It's not a university, right? Don't really know any better.
Yeah.
And I went 8 months of just being the most miserable I've ever been.
Right.
And then finally they took me and it's like, okay, it's not working out. And it wasn't working out because I was so miserable that I was like doing just enough to like, I guess not get fired. Like I was trying to learn everything, but it was really miserable. So, and I think that really speaks to what you're saying about that entrepreneurial mindset was that I knew I wanted more out of life and I knew that it wasn't this, and they knew that it wasn't that either. They could tell like, okay, this guy's not really in it. The heart's not in it. He wanted something else. So it was best to part ways.
100%. And, one of the things that caught my attention when I was, about your podcast, right, was that word unconventional. And being an entrepreneur really is unconventional to the path that most of society is designed to go down. Very few people are going to go down that path, and then even fewer are going to be successful on that path. And so, and it's okay to not be an entrepreneur. Some people make it in business being I guess what they call an intrapreneur, right? If you're a CFO or you're part of a board or you grew up in a company and then suddenly you become an integral part of it, like you take Microsoft, right? You got Steve Ballmer. Without Steve Ballmer, there would be no Microsoft, right?
Right.
I mean, Bill Gates for sure was a visionary, the founder, and all that, but Ballmer was the heart and the pump behind.
And he
the
grew
company.
into that
And
role too.
Into the role.
He worked his way up.
I believe he could be wrong. I think he started off as a sales guy or running a sales
Something
division,
like that. Yeah.
to now owning what is he? He owns a basketball team. He owns.
I don't know, lots of stuff.
He owns lots of stuff, right? So it's there's different paths, but unconventional for sure, right? To go down the path that we're going down for sure.
What would you say is the biggest mindset that someone needs to have in order to be an entrepreneur? Or if someone's thinking about, I think I want to do this, but like, what is it that you think that they should look for to be like, yeah, okay, I think you got the right stuff?
There's some very basic stuff that you have to have in regardless, like, to have the work ethic, to have the grit, the perseverance and all that. Yeah. But what I found out there of the guys that have succeeded is focus, to be able to buckle down and put away all the distractions, especially today when you have so many exposure to opportunities. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday who pitched me, right? He had a drop shipping store. He's starting a podcast. He's dabbling into some private equity deal. He's looking at doing something else with Alibaba, and like, there's just way too much stuff.
Too much going on.
And then at the same time, he goes, well, I'm thinking of going in the military too, because it'll give me some discipline and a stable income. Like, no, you gotta focus and you gotta go all in. You gotta. So one of the things that I remember in the corporate world when I worked there, right? Every time I left a company by my choice or by someone else's, it was like, don't burn the bridge. But really, it's always been like, don't just burn the bridge. Fucking piss on it. Don't ever look back.
Oh, really?
And go on. Yeah. Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Okay. So him
Not
and
personally, but
but of the stories, right? Of the all the folklore, right? Mm-hmm. But I think one of the things that they documented in history was when they'd land on a shore, right? The Mongol army or the Mongol Navy instruct them to burn the ships. There was no point in retreat, so the men had no choice. Mm-hmm. You're
going forward, or that's it.
That's it, right? But if you knew there's rescue boats waiting for you to retreat, right? Well, you might go back.
You don't give it that 100%.
Yeah. And, right or wrong, I don't know. But the same could have been said about D-Day too. When the Allies landed on the beaches of Normandy, right? They didn't have a choice.
That's it. You go forward.
Unfortunately, a lot of people didn't make it, right? But I think if there was a choice to go back on those boats, we probably wouldn't have made it through. Yeah, so burn the boats.
That's a really good perspective. And I think that's a mindset that, like you said, it's not for everybody. My wife, she stays at home with the kids and she raises the kids and takes care of the house. And everything is on me to make the business successful.
Right.
So I don't have that fail safe. Like if it doesn't work,
there's no safety net for you.
Where's no one gets to eat. So it really focuses you and really makes you think about, okay, what is really important? Like what do I need to do today, tomorrow to get to where I need to be? And it really provides you that focus. So it helps bring everything into clarity, which is really nice.
Yeah. So you're all in for sure. So focus for sure. And the other thing is you just can't give up. You gotta keep on going. You're gonna face rejection after rejection, and there's gonna be a lot of hard times. Then there'll be good times, and then there'll be more hard times. That's just the cycle of it, right? But I think if you give up at the first or second instance where this happens, and you say, "Yeah, it's too tough for me," or "I can't make it," or whatever, then maybe you shouldn't be in that field.
It brings me to an interesting question here, and that has to do with when to know that you should keep going forward in a path and when to know when to pivot. Because you just said that sometimes you're going to fail, sometimes you're going to succeed. How do you know when that failure is not a sign to have to pivot your ideas, but it's a sign to just kind of keep going? Do you know what I mean?
Yep. That's always been tough to quantify. I would say, okay, you can have people around you that are good, whether they're mentors or teammates that have been there and done that can kind of guide you through it. But ultimately, it's still up to your gut decision. And somehow there's something within you as an entrepreneur that says, and sometimes that gut is wrong. But I think I'd say for the majority of the time, I've been able to trust my gut to follow through, whether it's been about culling off a business idea or unfortunately cutting off certain people.
Right.
It's been, I think it's ultimately left to the gut that something keeps you up at night. You says, you know what, this isn't right, or I've got to stop this, or, I've got to put the brakes on this deal, whatever it is.
Oh, that makes a whole lot of sense. And that goes with what I was just saying about the job that I had. My gut was telling me leave, and I stayed. Yeah. And it was, lesson learned, but yeah, okay, that's really good. I like that. So follow the gut. I want to bring it back, if I can, to school and thinking about what it is about, because you said you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I feel like they don't teach that in school these days. Is there anything with the school system that you think doesn't really prepare us to go out and be an entrepreneur? Because I think from what you were saying is that you dropped out of school a couple times.
Yeah, grade 11.
Yeah, so you knew like it wasn't for you. Like, what is it about school that doesn't give you what it is that you know that you needed?
I don't think I knew at the time though. Dropping out of school for me at the time was unfortunately out of necessity. Mm-hmm. So I left home when I was 14 due to different family circumstances that didn't make it work. But and then you try to make ends meet, and then you fall in with the wrong crowd, and next thing you know, school wasn't a priority, and so you got kicked out actually.
Yeah,
instead of dropping out.
Yeah,
and then I just didn't go back until later on for adult education. But if I go back to what I recall of school and what I see of school today, because I got a lot of exposure to different kids in different schools, is conformity. To conform, to get in line, to do what the agenda is, whether it's a subject or the whatever the flavor of the day is, right now.
Yeah.
Conforming. Whereas, one of the things we see with school that's measurable is they say standardized testing. So at certain grades, at certain intervals, all kids even today have to do these tests, and then they go, here's where you rank in your percentile or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But, if we're going to measure, let's say, talent or intelligence based on artistic ability, I'm going to fail hands down.
Yeah.
You'll score pretty good, right? Let's say if it's to do with mechanics, right? Someone else might fare well in that, but they won't fare well in mathematics. And that's where you can't use a one-size-fits-all to measure where these kids are. And the problem is kids are very impressionable, especially in the earlier years where they form self-esteem, self-confidence, sense of self-worth.
That's right.
And I don't mean this to anybody in particular, but as a system and in society, right? Whether it's school, parents, church, whatnot, we weigh heavily on their opinions of themselves and how they look at themselves. So if you're painted with that you're inadequate in a certain arena, and that's the arena that's used to gauge everything, well, that's going to carry you throughout life. And I've always kind of said the thing is it's easier to build healthy children than it is to repair broken men. And by the time they make it into the workforce, like when they make it into the workforce, we see, especially more today, between mental health issues, anxiety. It's unfortunate that many young men today don't date. They don't get out. They don't have a social circle or a social network of real friends or a support system. And I was at this HR conference a few months ago, and they were saying that the current productivity killers right now in the workforce for young men, and I think they classify that as like anyone from 25 to 50 still being young. So we're still considered
still young. Eh?
Yeah, I'll take that as young, right?
We'll take it.
But it was it's social media, it's gaming, it's gambling, and pornography.
Yeah,
it's sort of alarming to look at some of the people I work with and realize they're not alert. They were up all night constantly. They're not getting rest. They don't have proper physical health. They're not taking care of themselves. And I think this is that's actually probably a pandemic on its own, that we have this, and we need strong people in general, right? And leaders in general, but I think we need strong men in society.
Yeah, 100%. Is that something you're seeing right now then with the young men that are coming to work for you and working in construction?
Yes, unfortunately. Yeah. And that all spirals down to everything from how you see yourself, to somebody says something to you, take it the wrong way, to chronic sick calls, to depression, self-esteem issues where you have to take time off for mental health breaks, and it's very prevalent. Yeah. Whereas I think back to, recently we just had Remembrance Day pass, right? Mm-hmm. And it's one of the holidays that I will always make time for, and I actually have a drink for, is to watch some of these older men who fought in wars and sacrificed, and the testicular fortitude they had. Yeah. And then we look at our generation today. At the beginning, I kind of explained like, hey, the odds of my parents meeting and going through all this and to finally arrive here, and then for me to say, let's just take it easy and relax.
Right. Yeah.
Let alone somebody's grandpa or father, and grandmas too. They were involved in the war efforts as nurses and so many different things too, right? For them to do all that, and then for us to now just everything's so hard, and to take it easy and to seek comfort, to me, it's a waste of life, unfortunately.
I always wonder why that is. And what is that quote that says, hard times create hard men create good times create weak men, and then weak men create weak times, or whatever. Is this almost like an inevitable cycle that our society at large kind of has to go through?
It is like everything, like an economic cycle, right? You've got to have your ups, downs, your boom, bust, your growth, your recession, depressions, and all that. And but those cycles, I think, are all generalities. Because I'm sure you've probably heard where they say, look at this family, they've made a lot of money, but the next generation's so spoiled that they'll pissed away by the third generation.
Right. Yeah.
Which there actually is a lot of cases. And then you've also got the Sobeys and the Irvings and the Pattersons of the world that know how to, this is all assumptions, of course, right? Looking from the outside, but keep it in the family or develop in the family and succeed. And I think it's not just about the money, but there's a whole mindset behind it, a whole set of values and principles that you have to live by within your family to carry that on.
Right.
At that point, it's not about the money for them.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I have to be careful with my kids too, reflecting on these things, because I grew up very, I guess we can say poor. We didn't have much. The only free activities we got were, or the only activities we got to do were things that were free or covered by the community or covered by the school.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to go skiing. I didn't do those things, right? I got to play dodgeball at school.
Yeah, that was my favorite sport, is dodgeball, because I was the same way. We were pretty poor. I could never do anything except for get a hockey stick and go play road hockey in the road, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you know what that's like, right? And then now with my own kids, like I took them out of public school. I'm trying to give them almost an advantage that I never had.
Right.
But it's also a balance between, are they bubble wrapped too much, or to, so I'm trying to be mindful of that. Right. And
so how are you navigating that? Like, what is it that you're keeping in mind whenever
it's tough. I do try to, we do try to give them a lot of chores, different things to do. They have their own responsibilities they have to do. They have to pack their bags. They have to do their homework. They have to stay off the phone. There's a lot of rules, but with that too, there's also a balance in rules too, because you force too many things and you're going to cause the wrong type of rebellion down the road too.
That's right.
They're still young, 5, 7, and 9.
Okay, but so they're still at the stage of listening to everything you say, and
but I'm also encouraging them to not listen to me as much either, to kind of challenge what I say. Like sometimes I'll tell them to do things, but it's not the right things, just to see if they'll push back.
Right.
So I want them to have that early, right? And that way, you will challenge the teacher, you will challenge the police officer, you will challenge the banker that you're going to sit across from down the road. You will do these things, not just for the sake of being a rebel, but for the sake of thinking.
Right.
And critically thinking about whether this is the right thing or wrong thing, or if it's for you or not for you.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to say, critical thinking is one of those things where I think as a society, we're really lacking in that skill. And not only being able to ask the right questions, but also knowing how to do it as well too. Because a lot of people, they get into a situation they don't like. All they know how to do is just throw a tantrum,
right,
or what have you. They don't have the ability to articulate what it is that they're thinking, why they think things are wrong, or what have you. What's the antidote to all this? Because I know what you're saying about it's all kind of about the families and being kind of more thinking of the individual and how they need to grow. So is that the way that we need to take it? Does it need to be something that we need to do on the individual level to get, especially these young men, get them out of the pornography, get them out of the social media, and get them making real world connections? Like, how do we do that?
Man, that's a big nut to crack for sure.
Yeah, I know, that's true. Right? We don't have enough time to solve that problem.
Oh my God, we'd be solving wars and things.
Yeah, that's right.
I always look at it as, okay, what can we do within our own four walls of our companies? And so one of the things I promote is camaraderie and brotherhood, right? So how do we create a sense of culture where, and this is kind of counter to where most of our industry is headed. There was a time where it was like you walk into, whether it's a mechanic shop or a construction site, right? And it was posters and nudie girls, right? And chauvinist pigs or whatever, right? Guys whistling at girls on the construction site.
Oh, it's a classic construction trope. Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, and then it went to the far other side where anything you say could be deemed as very offensive to anybody, and so we went to this entire cookie cutter corporate mantra, conform. And so it's to bring it back slightly, but not go completely that way, and creating a sense of brotherhood where we have a community within our own companies, right? Where guys get together on the weekends. It's not a bad thing after work at 3:30 to crack a couple of beers together.
Yeah,
I'll make sure I pay for your Uber to get home, right? Those few beers go a long ways. Having regular check-ins from leaders. So and that's another thing that's lacking, though. We need leaders to kind of take charge of this process, to check in on people, to have one-on-ones with them, to ensure, hey, what's working, what's not working, how can I help you? Here's what I need from you. Set the bar high.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that, but it's a big one to solve because, sure, they're working with you for 40, 50 hours a week. But then there's also the rest of the time where you're left to your own devices, right? And unless I think you can get people out more, being sociable rather than playing a video game about snowboarding, why not just hit the hill and do the real thing?
Do the real thing, yeah.
Why this thing I heard the other day about having dating avatars? Like, to me, it was like completely
dating avatar.
Yeah, kind of.
What
like
do you mean?
You have your avatar online on a video game, and then you meet a girl from the other side of the world, and you're dating her. I'm like, it's
what? That's a thing?
I couldn't even. Yeah, this is the first time I heard about it, right? Like, well, what about just going down on the lower deck and picking up a couple of chicks and,
but it's crazy.
Why not the real thing?
Yeah, but I totally understand, I think, where young men are coming from now too, because I think it depends on the type of person you are. But if you approach a woman now, you have to be careful because she can just scream out oh, this guy's harassing me or whatever. And like your life could be destroyed. They put you on social media, you're on blast or whatever. Like I feel like there's a fine line to walk there as a guy, and I think you need to be careful.
We've almost hit this point of no return because it's not like we're going to stop social media now or stop any of these other it could be either tools or addictions, but like from a dating example, it's ruined it for guys in this aspect, in that when you're born as a girl, you have value to you. There's going to be some guy out there that's going to date you no matter what you look like or how big you are or how small you are or what you're into, whatever, right? There's always going to be some guy. But with guys, you can have it all together, right? And because of social media these days, I think, and this is generalizing, so I'm probably going to offend some women here, but if you're going to set that bar high off of a imaginary life, right? And now you believe you to be this. You believe that you're a 10 and that you'll only accept a 10 or a 9 at best. Well, you've discounted all these great guys that are out there. Yeah. But there's also another fallacy too. So say if you're a girl and you're a 6 or a 5 or a 4, right? Okay. Some dude that's a 7 or 8 or 9, right? Just got drunk and decided to hook up with you, right? Or just hooks up with you because he's bored. Yep. Or whatever. It's, it's 1:30 at the bar and you'll take whatever. Yeah. Suddenly that girl feels like she's an 8 or a 9 or 10 and now discounts because she got with the 8 or 9 guy. Yeah. And that's not right either, right? And so, there's a lot going up against guys, unfortunately. That's the, what is the term? The alpha widow. What's it called? The alpha widow? Alpha widow. Okay. Yeah, I heard it's where a girl, whatever her level is, gets a guy that's like 3, 4, 5 levels ahead of her. There's no way in hell that guy would ever settle for, like, he's a 10. Why would he settle for a 5? Right. But like you said, he'll
sleep with her or whatever
Sure.
after a night of drink at the bar. But
Yeah.
you never marry her. But then she has this expectation now. Well, I got with that guy,
Right.
Who's that 10? So that's what I get, and the guy, alpha, beta, whatever, all those terms.
Yeah.
But that's alpha widow. She's been alpha widowed, right? She's had that guy, and now any other guy that ever comes into her life, she'll always be thinking of that.
It's been ruined for her and for him and for the other guys, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And like with girls, I was saying, there's some value to them intrinsically, right? Until you get to a point where you age, and then it sort of goes downhill.
Yeah.
But for guys, it's almost like we have no value until we build something of ourselves.
Right.
So you have to make something of yourselves in whatever field or right that you have, and then you've now had something to offer someone.
Yeah, right. Fair or not fair, that's just kind of the way the world is. And I mean, I have a daughter and I have a son.
Yeah.
And I teach them two completely different things.
That's
in
right.
a sense. Like the daughter, okay, well, your value, at least my philosophy on this anyways, is not to go out there, get a high-paying job and build this big, huge company and empire or whatever, and that's going to attract the top guy. Guys don't care about that kind of stuff. Yep. Guys want someone that is going to be loyal, that's going to be respectful, that's going to help them raise a family, take care of the children. That's what's important to men. And if you want to attract that type of man, then you have to rethink about what are you going to do, because that's not what they're going to be attracted to.
That's right.
By all means, if that's what she wants to do, and that she, absolutely, everyone's got their individual taste of what they want to do. And then for my son, on the other hand, it's like, okay, you're young, you're thinking about girls all the time. It's hard to get girls because they have all options too, because every guy wants to get her at 19 years old. That's what everyone wants. So what are you going to do to stand out of the crowd?
Right.
You like the peacock's got to puff up the feathers, right? It's just the nature of things.
The nature of our life, man.
Yeah. So what are you going to do about it? Does it suck? Yeah, it sucks, but you got to compete. Yeah. And maybe that's just how guys are too, with that competitiveness. And when we're talking now about tying it back to entrepreneurship, right? Like we have this intrinsic drive to just be the best that we can be and do the things that we want to do to make us successful. And then that's how things go. So
yeah, 100%, man. Agree.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay. Can we get back to, I guess, to your whole entrepreneurship journey? Because you said you taught yourself everything about mergers and acquisitions. How did you go about teaching yourself about that? Because you bought your first company, was it
2021?
2021, yeah. So, and knowing nothing about mergers and acquisitions, right? Like, is it just something that you knew you wanted to go and do and you just started learning? Or was it just like, I'm just going to talk to people, and then you just figured it out as you went along?
No, it was, I shouldn't say I learned it on my own. Okay, so if we go formality, sure, I went onto YouTube, and there's a few things that you can learn from different investment bankers and PE firms on how they look at things. And then I'd look at accounting firms on, because there's so many videos online. You can learn anything you want, right? So the mechanics, the nuts and bolts, yes. But before that, it was a couple of instances where a chance encounter with people where it was like, light bulb moment. Buy the company, don't build the company. And one of them was for a company that I worked for. It was a tire company called Cal Tire. And
Cal Tire.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. I see the orange. Yeah. Orange branding.
Well, they grew through acquisition because out in this market, they didn't have a single store. And then suddenly, in a matter of like a few days, boom, they had like a chain of stores because they bought out a chain. And so, and the company, really cool. They have roots back in British Columbia, where it was founded by a World War II veteran who went and started his own shop, and he built another shop and another shop. Then he just started buying up chains. Until now, he's got an empire from Australia, all to South Africa mining, to all across Canada. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
And the empire wasn't built organically. It was built by mergers and acquisitions. And there's a book that they gave us when I worked there. It was called The World Runs on Rubber. And so I read this book, and a lot of people who will read it will be like, it's a pretty cool biography about how this, wild, wild west guy was building his company. But I read it as like, here's a playbook on how I'm going to build my company. And that's what I took from that. And then another chance encounter, I was in Whistler snowboarding. And there's a really big chair that takes you up to Blackcomb Mountain. Okay. It's a very long chairlift. And oftentimes it would get delayed for whatever reason there, right?
Oh, like you're just stuck there.
Yeah,
in the air.
There, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I was talking to this gentleman in the gondola there, right, who happened to be an investment banker. Oh. And I'm like, this is great. Yeah, I've got his undivided attention. I'm picking his brain about all these things.
Perfect.
Like, what do you mean covenants and ratios and compliances? And like, this is great.
Yeah.
What industries you're bullish in, and what banks are actually lending to this industry, and which ones to stay away from. And like, okay. So I think those were a couple of light bulb moments that stood out. that kind of like sparked it and said, okay, down the road,
Okay.
buy a company. Here's how to put together the deal, and then all the stuff with YouTube and all that. That just kind of solidified it.
So what was it like then? Your first merger, or your first acquisition, I should say.
I'll say it was scary.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe not scary. It was nervous to say, I'm really going to sign a loan for this much, and I'm going to put in my own money of this much to do this. And then the science behind it was, okay, the accountants did their due diligence. The lawyers have, turned over every rock. And this owner had it since 1979. And I'm only the second owner. So company's not going anywhere, hopefully. And that whole rule about anti-fragility, where the longer something stays, the longer it should stay. It's banking on a lot of these things, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately at night, you still are like, man, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Right.
Then after that one, then it was like, oh, okay, cool. Let's do it again and again and again.
So now you bought the first one, and then everything, the world didn't collapse.
Yep.
Everything's going good.
Actually, it almost did because right after that, about a month later, COVID hit.
Yeah.
And everything was done, and it was like, oh,
how was that on the
life.
business then?
It was tough because for about 2 months there, the cash flow was very, very, very tight. And I was looking for alternates to be like, now I've got to go find an investor. That means I got to dilute my shares. I've got to leverage my house. I've got to do whatever I can to make payroll. And then suddenly everything took off in construction and really never looked back until probably Q3 of this year.
Oh, okay.
It's been like a nice bull market for construction ever since.
Right. Is it more in the residential space or commercial space?
Yeah, all mine's completely commercial, industrial, and
okay.
Institutional. Yeah. Okay. So we focus on that side.
Is that a better industry or niche to be into than like the residential buildings? I feel the residentials could be up and down. Or
I wouldn't say so because there's there's that saying, there's always people going broke in boom markets, and then there's always people making a killing in recessions. Right. And it's the same doesn't matter if you're in whichever niche. What I found was the guys who did well are the ones who just like focused in on that niche, right? If you're a construction company that says, I can build it all, right? I'll do new, I'll do restoration, I'll do heritage, I'll do schools, I'll do hospitals, but I'll also do an apartment. I've always been a fan of, hey, let's niche down and focus on a couple of key areas, get really good at that, rather than expanding horizontally.
That's so difficult from a marketing perspective as well too, because what do you make content on and how do you advertise what it is that you do?
Right.
Because you do everything, which means you do basically nothing.
Right.
Not a good way to go.
100%.
So you bought your first company, went through the COVID thing, was tight, but then of course things took off, which is congratulations, by the way. This is amazing. And then this is where it's really fantastic because now you're at the point where you have several companies and you're pushing over 8 figures in revenue. And then next year you're figuring to go into 9 figures, which for people listening, that's 1 0 short of the billions.
Yes.
So we're talking about a lot of money.
We got a long ways to get to the billion, but we will get there.
But the 1 0, it sounds, but still the hundreds of millions of dollars, like that is insane.
Yeah, it's beyond what I ever thought, right? When I first wrote down my plan for myself, actually, there's a book called Think and Grow Rich that I read. And in that book, right, on the cover page, you write down your goal. And I remember writing down my goal there. It was like $5 million revenue. Be so happy if I can get a company that does 5 million. Yeah, I guess your goals expand as far as you get. As the old saying is, you look at the horizon, you can only see so far. But when you get to that end of horizon, you'll keep seeing further and further and further. Yeah,
it never ends. Yeah.
And so the more people I've been exposed to in this industry, the more I realize how tiny we are. And
what do you mean how tiny we are? What do you mean by that?
As a company, we're tiny.
Oh, okay. I see.
When I first got going, I was like, wow, we're buying my first $6 million company. This is, and then you get going and then you see the bigger fish around and then you go, oh, shoot, I should stay in my lane.
Right. Like we're talking about those billions and billions of dollars, those companies.
Yeah. There's, there comes a point where there's a lot of conglomerates at play. Like one of the biggest in our industry is the Koch brothers. They're the ones who backed the Republican Party in the last campaign, right?
Okay.
But they own, gosh, I don't know, like a wide array of construction that we don't even know about, just in the hundreds of billions of dollars that, we may look at a company on the surface and see the name that you and I see on retail, right? But behind the scenes, what's backing it? And so when I got into the industry further and further and realized it's, you're competing against these guys here, it's kind of like you can't compete head on. You'll be crushed. So you have to find your own niche, your own area to carve into, and then play there. And so that's why I'm a big fan with my team of let's just focus on what we're good at, carve out our niche, stay in our lane, say no to everything else, and just say that. And yes, we're going to probably miss some opportunities that maybe we could have gotten or come our way, but we're going to spend more time going after what's meant for us.
Right.
We'll build our company that way.
What's on your horizon now?
On the horizon now? To go after a little bit bigger fish.
It is, eh? Yeah, okay. So you see them, you want to stay in your lane, but at the same time, you want to be the big fish too, I would imagine?
Not really. See,
No?
I'm a fan of being like it's a weird saying, but being the big fish in your little market, your little pond.
Big fish in the small pond.
Yeah, I'd rather that than just being attempting to be a medium-sized fish in a big ocean. It becomes a whole different game, right? You need capital and horsepower to back you, right? And I guess up until now, I haven't had to take on private investors or venture capital, so I don't have anybody to answer to. It's you're not forced by making decisions quarter to quarter. I have some really close friends in the industry now, right, that have grown their company significantly, that have now taken on that venture capital partner, and it's all rosy at first, and you've got this horsepower behind you, but there's a lot of expectations with it too,
right?
And there's a lot of penalties when you don't hit your goals.
It's like a completely different game, I guess.
It is, yeah. Even in the game that I'm in, right, I may say it's construction as far as the industry, right, but it's not. I'm in the contracting and cash flow game is what it is. It's
really interesting because you're saying, be the big fish in the small pond, but you're like thinking you're small potatoes to these other guys. And I'm here listening. I'm like, Jesus, hundreds of $1 million of revenue. That's a huge game. And I feel like it's a whole nother level than, where I'm at right now. Do you know Alex Hormozy?
Yes.
Probably heard him. So he talks a lot about, okay, once you get to a certain level, then you think you're good, but then it like unlocks a whole nother things that you'd never even seen. Do you feel like that's kind of what you've gone through? Like
all
it's like,
the time.
Yeah. Oh, there's $1 million. It's like, I thought I'm it, right? You wrote down $5 million. Like that's, I'd be happy. Then like $5 million. Yeah. Wait a minute. There's 50 million. Oh, now there's 500 million. Like, is it these stages of game? And then every time you unlock, it's like a whole new level, a whole new, like, I got to learn all these new skills and everything. And then you have to figure it out.
It is. It's a whole set of new skills, but also realizing that some of those skills aren't going to be within my wheelhouse and to find the right people. So one of the big moves I did this past year, right, was I brought on a vice president of operations who came from the largest guy in our industry. And now he's like my right-hand man. And he brings a completely different perspective that I didn't think about. We have really good debates, healthy debates. He challenges me because a lot of people in the company won't. And I needed that. But at times, I'll have to say, hey, unfortunately, it's my way.
Right. Yeah.
But,
exactly.
But again, that's that's just part of the structure. So that was a big thing for me to hire somebody on and almost relinquish a lot of that control, so that I can redirect my attention and focus more on M&A coming up this year.
That's a hard thing for entrepreneurs, to relinquish control.
Yeah, it is. In theory, it sounds pretty good. A whole lot gets off your plate, and somebody else takes on a bunch of the work, and you'll be able to, focus on something else. But then there's always a piece of you that says, I could do it better, or I would do it different. But it doesn't mean it's always better, right? So it's good to take in perspective.
I know I struggle with that mightily because when I know I've had some other people do some work for me and they bring it back, and I'm just like, oh.
Should I just do it myself?
I should have. Yeah, it's like, I just need to do it myself, right?
Yeah.
But that's where I think you need to let go of your ego sometimes and think about what's the client going to think about it, right? Is it going to meet their goals and objectives? If so, maybe just relax a little bit, right? And then if you're bringing other people too, then that's the opportunity as well to train other people into like, well, this is how we do things within this company. Like we have this level of standard of what we want, like our design to look like. Yeah. And then they could build and grow like together, right? So
to your point there about the clients, right? It's not about what you like or what I like, right? If our company is framed around this and its focus niches on this, and this is the ideal client avatar, then that's who you're working to build or to build for.
Right.
That's who's going to pay the bills, right? Not what you and I prefer on certain things. And I've seen it over and over again where, especially with consultants, they'll come into companies and say, you should do this, or the best guys in your class are doing this. And even simple things like change your logo so it's more contemporary to appeal to. Like, but at the end of the day, how does this give me an ROI? how does this better add better value to my client?
Right.
Or how does it add better value to my team? And if it doesn't, then are we doing it just for the sake of ego or the sake of, why?
Goes back to what we were talking about earlier about focus. And if you have focus and you know what it is you're going, you really quickly can move aside those things that aren't really important. You
get rid of a lot of distractions and you save time.
Going back to this, your huge success that you've had so far, what would you say if you went back to your old you that was, having trouble with school, getting kicked out? What would you say if you went and told him that, what, in 20 years or what have you, you're going to lead this, multi-million-dollar company and, have achieved the level of success that you've achieved now?
If myself could go back to there,
probably
laugh at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. The framework was completely wrong. The mindset was wrong. I didn't encounter the right mentors. I didn't have the right experiences. Somebody recently asked me a question about if I would go back and tell myself at that time to start earlier and do that, right? But to me, that would entail regret. And regret would mean that as of this moment in time today, I wouldn't be completely satisfied with where things are, right? And I'm satisfied with my family, my wife, my kids, where I live, the things I get to do, the people I'm around. And so if anything in my past had changed, if I had gotten smarter younger, if I had made some of those foolish decisions to go down those weird dark paths, then it wouldn't have led to where it is today. Maybe it's not ideal. Maybe in a different portal, a lifetime, I would be something completely different.
Right.
But I'm happy with where it is today, and it's going to give me a foundation now to build the next phase of my life. So
right. You always have to think about the things that you've done in your past, even though you might not be particularly proud of them, or they might have been bad times, but that still has built you to who you are now. Because without them, you wouldn't be who you were. Like for me too, I had some rough things happen to me growing up in my childhood.
Yeah.
And I can sit here and feel bad about it. See, like, oh, I wish it never happened. But then I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yes.
I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have gone through the things I've gone through to be able to have the mindset and the ability to withstand, all the shit that has been thrown at me to get to where I am. So it's like almost we were talking about earlier again with men and the difficulties they might have. Sometimes you need to go through that struggle to be able to define you, to be able to, David Goggins says this, like callous the mind in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to go through that struggle to get stronger.
Yep.
Because otherwise you're just going to be this like mushy dough that can't handle anything.
Yeah, you got to have some battle scars. You have to have the experience, right? And good, bad, the ups and downs. And, back to the generation, maybe it's not even fair for me to say it's just this generation, because I've had to deal with 50, 60-year-old grown men crying too. That we've got to toughen up and we've got to harden up a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know what the state of our military is like, but I've heard the rumors from people who like we hire quite a few vets in our companies.
Okay.
And man, it sounds like if we were to go to war against anyone, we'd be done.
It's not good, eh?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation too with Canada and the state of our military, and maybe are a little bit too much of over reliance on the United States. But the military is interesting. I actually applied to go to the Air Force. And I got excited. This was even though I was older. I think this was before I went on the trip. And so this would have been in 2016 or something like that.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to be a pilot, Air Force pilot. I'm like, I want to fly the jets. Yeah. And I applied and I went and I got in. And they were going to send me to the Trenton to do like a 3-day training to see if you get in.
Yep.
But I didn't have my eyes. I wear contact lenses.
Okay.
So they're like, oh, before you do this test, you have to have your corrected eye surgery. And I was like, I want to go through this test first to see if I can qualify. Right. Then I'll get the surgery. But they said, no, it has to be the other way around. Okay. And I couldn't afford it at the time because it was like $6,000 or whatever. Yeah. So it just didn't end up working out. But yeah, anyways, I think about the military and I feel like, I don't know, I think you need to be a certain type of person to get in there. But it seems like nowadays, I don't know, people are doing it not because of a sense of duty for their country, but just like, oh, well, it's just, maybe it's a job or it's a paycheck.
Maybe it's a job. And yeah. And that's unfortunate. Yeah. Even I'm around a lot of school teachers too. So I get to see what happens behind the scenes. And when you're not doing it for the right reasons, I think you're going to have a hard time getting up in the morning to go do it and be passionate about it. And the other is you're impacting others, especially kids. Yeah. So when I was young, it was like my lifelong dream ever since I was a kid playing with airplanes to one day be a commercial pilot, right?
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter,
we had
757
similar
to
dreams. That's
DC-10,
crazy.
flying a double-decker 747. But flight school was too expensive. There's no way my parents could ever afford it, right? And so after dropping out and a series of things happening, this was in Calgary. It's a school called SAIT, the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology.
Okay.
And they teach trades there in engineering technologies. And there was a program called aeronautical engineering. I thought, you know what? If I can't fly a plane, at least I can design one.
Yeah, or build one. Yeah.
And so I had to do the transition program where you challenge and learn your math, your physics, and all that to qualify. And so it's extra. And then I did first semester of aeronautical engineering, and then they canceled the program. They said, due to low enrollment, you can go to Lakehead University in Ontario, or you can go to Purdue State down in Indiana. And I'm like, well, that's probably not going to happen because they don't have money. And so this is the silliest thing. They've got this brochure at the college where it shows the different programs that you're in, from business admin to pastry chef to different types of engineering, right? And I look to the immediate right, and it shows median salary of graduates. I picked industrial engineering because it was $2,000 more than the other fields. It was like $28,000 a year versus $26,000 a year. That's what determined fate.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so silly looking back, right? But I chose that field, ended up doing really good in it, getting hired in the middle of a presentation that I dropped out of school. Again, sort of happenstance that kind of led to where it was.
You definitely want to be in a position where you can wake up every day in the morning and feel a sense of purpose and feel a sense of, you know what, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's difficult. And it's one of the things that I'm struggling with. And one of the things that I want to try to help people with is finding that sense of purpose. Like we were talking earlier, and that I came across podcasting and I instantly knew, it's like, finally, like my whole life has been building to this thing where I just love doing this. And I want to wake up in the morning and do it and share it with the world. And I want everyone to have that feeling, and to try to figure that out, because it makes everything so much easier, and then it also provides you with that focus as well.
Well, it's awesome when you find that, right? Then it doesn't matter if it's 50, 60 hours a week. You're always working, and you're not tired. Whereas I can remember working and I always worked hard, no matter what job I worked at. That's one thing, though. It wasn't like I took on a job I hated and I slacked, right? Even if I hated it, I'd still work my ass off.
For sure.
But
internal sense of pride, you know.
Just to show up. Mainly, sure, you do it for the company, but you do it more for yourself, right? To say like, hey, I left a place a little bit better, or I did a really good job today. And but if you don't enjoy it, or you haven't found that, it's always hard to say passion too, because then people may take it the wrong way to say, well, if I'm not passionate about it, I shouldn't do it. Well, no, there's also reality and cash flow and a business case, and all that has to make sense, right? But if you have that purpose, it's pretty easy to get up and keep going every day, right? Because you're going to face tough times in any business. And so you're going to go through those tough times if you have your purpose and you've got like that North Star to guide you.
Well said. Love it. Love it. Okay, let's go back to running companies now and owning businesses. And we're talking about leadership as well, and how important that is. What have you learned so far about what it means to be a good leader?
There's no better type of leadership to me than to set a good example. And so even though I have a lot of things on my plate, but I will always make the time in all the companies to go in there to meet the people, to get to know them, their families, their kids personally, not just why you work for us or what you do for us, right? But then also to make a point to show them that I come from their craft, I come from their trade too, that push comes to shove, I'll be right there on the wall or the slab or the construction site with them. There's times where I'll take the caulking gun and I'll go to town too. And on one hand, you can view that as it's a bit of a waste of time and it's an expensive person to be doing sealants and caulking. On the other hand, for me, it's sometimes stress relief, but it also sends a message to the team that, hey, we're all in this. We try to strive to be a flat organization. There's nobody that's
like, I'm not above you.
Yeah.
I'm not,
And it shouldn't be that case. And because I come from the trade, when I look back and I say the guys that I used to respect, how they used to treat their team, it was, again, a sense of brotherhood, respect, camaraderie, push comes to shove, we're all in it together. It's not just, we like when I show up on a job site, I'm in this PPE just like everybody else. I don't wear a suit. I don't wear a tie. My hard hat isn't brand new and white. It looks like it's been through battles. My boots look like they've been, through the mud and back and forth. I always bring coffee to the site. There was a guy I worked for many, many years ago, right? And we were building a store. And what he would do is he'd come in with his Starbucks and a newspaper in hand, and he'd have a chair folded out in a stool, and he'd take his socks off and just sit there and put his feet up, right, while everybody else around him was building the store from. It was a retail store, and I just remember that, like, yes, he's successful, he's got money, he owns a company, but we all looked at him, we're like, what a piece of shit.
Yeah. Like, what good is having all that money and success if you can't have friends and family to be able to enjoy it with, right? And people look down on you or think that you're an asshole. Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, just why?
Yeah. Well, it's tough. I feel like there's a lot of people, like we've all had these experiences where we've had these bad bosses, horrible bosses that just treat you like shit. And why do people even get to that point? Because it seems like there's more bad bosses and bad leaders than there are good leaders. What makes people that way?
I mean, not no idea. Yeah, it's but you know what? I've learned a lot from some of these guys too. Some not to do, but there's also good traits to pick apart on. You know, some of them was how to be so steadfast to your, even when you're wrong, the conviction of being wrong, and
right.
And it was still their way. And then even when they knew they were wrong in the end, to not even admit it. That's one thing that I would change. That I've always changed. You know, I'm not afraid to stand up in front of the team and say, "All right, guys, look, I fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Here's how we're going to fix it, though. So let's leave that in the past. But yes, I fucked up.
Yeah.
So we're going to fix it,
right?
As opposed to deflecting everything off people. So you know, there's so many components of leadership. But I say that we are lacking leaders all across the board, everywhere. You can train managers. You can give them systems and processes and schedules and things to follow and cadences. But leaders to take charge, to say, hey, I've got this, right? Or to be very decisive and to rally people around them, to influence them, to say, okay, here's why you follow me. Mm-hmm. That's becoming rare.
Something that you can train, you think, though, in people?
I don't know if you can train that. I think you've got to be innate and have that inside you first. And then sure, we can refine you and give you tools to do it.
Right.
But if you're not willing to step up, and this isn't to be confused with somebody who's introverted or extroverted, because I'm actually a highly introverted person.
Right.
It's a huge sense of responsibility, not just taking ownership for yourself, but for a whole team of people who rely on you. Whether it's to they're relying on you for their paycheck, or relying on you to what's the next decision that's going to lead us to whatever. So it's
going to guide us.
It's lacking.
Let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about clients. And no matter what industry or business you're in, you have to get money somehow, and you have to deal with clients.
Yes.
And I imagine in your space, it's probably pretty interesting in terms of clients kind of coming in and either pushing back on you, or you have to make all this time to put quotes together and whatever, and all these different things. How do you manage to set boundaries in terms of how you expect clients to deal with you, and how you expect them to, and how you expect in return to behave with them, right?
Yeah, so I'll use this from the context of construction then. Okay, so the basics of construction in my world is the contract. You've got contracts that are written out pretty black and white, and probably one of the more contentious things with construction is payment terms. So is it net 30, net 45, net 60? But the reality is it's paid when paid. Unless my client gets paid from his client, I don't get paid. So you can go contractually all you want and be like, well, listen, man, we did the work for you. It's been 46 days. You haven't paid. I have the rights to lien your building, and that'll stop your financing and all that. Like, sure, black and white, you can do that. Legally, you can do all these things, and probably it will apply pressure for them to pay you. But the long haul is you've ruined a relationship too. So it depends on how valuable that relationship, right? And oftentimes I found that most things are easily resolved with the right people over a beer or scotch, and say, okay, where's our common ground here? Where did we fuck up? What did you do, or what do you need help with, right? And sometimes we'll find that, because depending on the company, right? Sometimes I'm a client to the general contractor. Sometimes the subcontractor is my client. And sometimes we work directly with the owner and developer. At all stages, everybody is adhered to by the bank. Unless the bank advances fund from here to the land, to the owner, to the general contractor, to the subcontractor, to the subcontractor, you've got so it's not just like, hey, I'm great at drywalling, so I did my job, I get paid. You're in an ecosystem with all these different dynamics, and unless you understand the players and the triggers, right, it's tough. But
sounds really like really complex. A lot of moving pieces.
It is. So we have there's a lot of legal involved. And that's why I mentioned earlier, it's not the construction game, it's the contracting and cash flow game. Contracting is like, it's all legal. Everything is done, even though it's spelled out, there's always here's how reality
it's
actually
like the unwritten rules in a sense.
There's way too many unwritten rules. And sort of like when I said
all these scars, that's what they are.
Oh man, the late nights, that's why. It is fun when you do solve a problem, right? But I was saying about how when you focus, for us, we focus on certain niches of our construction industry. We say no to a lot of things, but we also say no at the front end to clients or prospects. There's always another train coming. If you miss a construction contract, it's okay. Another one's coming down the road. There's always something. We're building something all the time, right? Or fixing something.
Yeah.
And it's to not get into really bad contracts, even though on the surface it's a beautiful looking contract, a nice dollar value. On paper you're going to make a ton of margin and schedule's good. But then when you look behind the scenes, I ask, there's a project I was interviewed for recently here in Halifax, right? It's going to be a fairly nice build, 4 towers. It'll probably be the largest towers in Halifax here for the HRM. But more important to me was the client itself, which was okay. It's got a history of not necessarily paying on time or paying full amounts and asking for haircuts, right? But we can work with that. But the other thing that was important to me was I said, well, what are all the other trades involved in this one? And in this particular scope, we're bidding on what's called the glazing facade package. So all the windows that you would see outside the high rise, right? So it's windows, frames, cladding, the exterior skin of the building.
Okay.
The trade before us, that's very crucial, is the concrete guys. So I want to know who the concrete guys are.
So you want to know who's pouring it so that you can figure out and work together, I guess, so you can.
There's the coordination, but there's also the quality. What if their pours are not straight? What if it's not leveled? And what if there's a slope between one end of the building to the other, right? How do we compensate? Who's going to do all these things?
That becomes your problem then.
That's right. Sort of. It won't because we'll make a point contractually to do certain things to make sure it's pushed back, right? But what it'll do is it'll cause delays for the owner, the general. It may put this company into a bad situation, and because construction is fairly small, you will see these guys again on another site. And so I said, I need to know who the contractor is, who you've awarded to, because unfortunately I may have to price out a premium for these guys depending on who they are, right?
Right.
And he said, okay, yeah. So we did our diligence and said, these are the stipulations I want. I want a third-party engineer. I want a third-party surveyor to throw down a grid line to validate their work before my company even sets foot on site.
Right.
And these were all fair ask. And he's like, yeah, no, it's good. It's fair. Sure enough, 2 weeks ago, that company went bankrupt. And I thought, okay, so what have we had? And let's say they didn't go bankrupt. But let's say now we've started this project with them, right? Now we're on a tall high rise. And they're pouring foundation. Suddenly they run in financial troubles and they stop.
And they go bust. Yeah.
Now that affects me. I've got, millions of dollars in material sitting to be deployed, which I still have to pay for. Yep. The trades behind me, whether it's the drywall or the floor, or the HVAC, the electricians, they're all on delayed. And so it's like a domino effect for everybody.
Yeah.
And so more important about how to deal with the clients is which client do you deal with?
Right.
So, Who do you get into bed with here?
That's so important. And it sounds so stupid because, you're talking about millions of dollars of assets and everything you're dealing with. But even thinking of people that are creative, there's a lot of creative people that listen to the show. Even building a website, even something as simple as like, it's just a $5,000 website. You always, even then, have to be careful with the clients that you're going to choose because sometimes you get the bad client and they're going to make the experience basically a living hell for you. They're going to be micromanaging everything you're doing. When you do something, and you provide a certain, you hit certain benchmarks, and then they approve it. Then they go back and then they renege on what they initially agreed upon, even though you can still have a contract. And it's just a nightmare. Yeah. So the best you can do is try to avoid them. I think it's hard for young entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs that don't have the cash flow to be able to sustain themselves. They're like, it's a paycheck. I got to do it. So I feel like there needs to be a balance between, okay, like you said, there's going to be another train coming in. Don't always settle for the first one that comes in the door. Make sure you pick and choose. So there's a balance to be had there, I think. Yeah,
100%. And, you can do your diligence as much as you can and you think you're getting in with the right person, but sometimes it's time draining. If you talk about websites, the revisions people want, the nitpicking and can I get a discount, or
Yeah.
I can't pay you till whenever. All that adds up into a big headache.
Yeah.
Pick the right clients.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be circumstances where, okay, it might be your first go around and you have to take something to establish your track
Fair
record,
enough.
but don't let it be the one that kills you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Don't be
and-
the guy that goes bust.
Enter in one contract and that'll be the end.
Yeah. I think as you learn too, you learn how to, especially if you get better in your craft, you learn more. You learn how to talk to clients and you learn how to assert your expertise into them, because I mean, generally that's why they should have hired you in the first place, right? Like if you come to
Right.
me and you're like, oh, I need you to build this website, whatever. I'm like, okay, what's your niche or what have you? And you're like, this is what I want the website to do. I'll be like, okay, well, you want the website to do this. These are the things that I did in the website, in the build, to make sure that you would have that functionality. And if you come back and say, oh, well, I need you to change this, I'm like, that's not what you said. If you want the website to function like this,
Yeah.
this is what it's here. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense, right? So you understand how to push back, but to do it in a way that makes sense, that fits in with the overall objective of what the client hired you to do in the first place. So
Yeah.
I think that comes with time and understanding your craft.
For sure. And another point to add to about how you, I guess, manage your clients is similar to, say, new team members, employees, or would be, how do you set the expectation off at the very beginning? So if you hired somebody, right, you've got a job description that you want to be, as clear as possible. You're not going to get everything right, but you try to be as clear as possible. You set the expectations. What are within your realms, your roles, your responsibilities? What's within your sphere? And then these are the things that are a bit outside that you shouldn't veer off of until, such point or whatever, or you seek help for. And with the clients, it's the same thing. Here's my scope of work. Here's what we need from you in order for us to be successful to help you. Here's what we need from the trades before and after us. And you try to lay that out as much as possible. For me, the challenge is I can't do that. That has to be a message that's ingrained into my team. So starting with our estimating
Right.
team, to our project management, to our field delivery team, everybody's got to be on the same page. And it's sometimes tough to get what you want translated
kidding.
right
Yeah.
down to the client, right? And once in a while, for sure, if it's a high stakes client, yeah, I'll take the meeting personally, right, and do that.
Right.
But oftentimes I still have to give my team the autonomy and trust them that they can do their job too. So there's a balance between, okay, I can jump in and bring this one home versus I've got to give you the autonomy and trust. Otherwise, in the future, you're going to come to me for every decision too.
Right.
So
And then what's the point?
yeah, exactly. So it's fun.
Women make better project managers. Something
Okay.
you say. Why is that?
So this is as a generalities for all I've got more male project managers than I do have female. So just to clarify, you guys are good too. It's, I find it's more about, not because of project management, but because of one is the ability to deal with customers and clients.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always going to be problems and concerns, right? But how do you deal with it? And I find that women have a better way of easing and finding common ground and getting away to a
More empathetic.
Yes, there's a way to negotiate and understand, as opposed to, unfortunately, most guys in our construction field are like, nope, not me. It's not my contract. Where it's like, well, hold on, let's go meet the client. Let's
Right.
figure out what happened, and then we can then talk about our point of view and how it went, and maybe come to something, right? So I think on one side is the ability to solve problems and communicate better than most male project managers. The other is from a customer service standpoint, they just tend to be more, there's like that woman's touch about things that just makes things a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more elevated. Even just the proposals that my female projects managers would send out, I'm like, oh, okay, this has some finesse to it.
Yeah.
This looks very professional. It's got some style. It's
Little
not just
hearts on the eyes, or
yeah, as opposed to even like little things will bother me, like, there's one bullet point that's margined off just a half inch, right? Nobody else will notice it, but I'm like, nope.
yeah.
I know it's not important in the grand scheme of things, so we kind of leave it. But little things, right, where I think there's more of an attention to detail from women.
Yeah.
And I also do find that they're better at planning and organizing and just just overall communication. So it's not even about the project management piece. It's just management in general.
I'll like 100% agree with that, because my wife will say the same thing. I can't plan anything. I can't manage anything, and she does all of it.
Nice.
And she does it really, really well.
That's awesome.
And I can't. So
so you know the strengths and play on it.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, we're speaking generalities as well too. But I mean, it's a really good starting point, I think, anyways.
Oh, for sure. I mean, of course, there's girls I've dated where I get to their house and it's like, this is atrocious. I'm not leaving.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
No.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said you never thought of getting married and never want to have kids. What was it about your wife, or I guess when you met her, that you just knew that this was different?
And that's always hard to say. You just knew somehow.
It's the gut, eh?
We had a long distance relationship, and it was going to Easter with her family. Her family's from Eastern Passage here. And I'm from Vancouver area, right? And I believe we met in Calgary, and both got onto a flight to fly down to Florida to meet her family for Easter, right? And it was something about, I don't know why, I just remember that moment there, walking down there. That was like, okay, yeah, this is probably my wife now. And then sure enough, a year later, we got married. And then, I can't really say why. I don't know. Because like, I don't know. I guess I've been fortunate to date a lot of different women over the years. Had a lot of fun, but
like you said,
there was something missing.
I think and like you said, you've dated a lot of women, so you can kind of get a feel for their temperaments and what's works for you, what doesn't. And if when you find someone that just compliments you so well, that doesn't add extra headaches to your life and just makes everything better, then it just fits, and you just kind of know. Yeah,
they've got to add value too. And like I said, I had a lot of fun, and in a way, maybe I was too much of an asshole too, where I never groveled and I never chased women. It was kind of like, okay, cool. This is somebody's interested. We can have some fun together. And there was this, you probably heard the saying where it's like, behind every great man is a great woman or something, right? There's a saying in Vietnamese in my parents' language, right? I probably butchered it, paraphrasing, but it's not about gazing in each other's eyes, but about standing side by side and looking out at the horizon, so that your goals for life or whatever it is, right, are parallel, and you're working in the same direction. Yeah. And so I think values and principles and the core beliefs, right, those are so important.
I mean, having somebody that's with you and then you're both struggling and you're both wanting different things out of life, I mean, that sounds like such a headache. You can't have that. You gotta have that shared vision.
Yeah, especially with the way we raise our kids and their upbringing now. I think we're 99% on the same page. There's the odd thing where I would do it different, she would do it different, right? But for the most part, it's we're very much in sync that way.
Yeah, for sure. Getting back, I guess we were talking a little bit before about social media and all the things that we think it's not really good for kids and everything. Yeah. How are you navigating that with your kids and social media? Like, do they have a limit on what they can do, or like how do you see that fitting in with how you're raising your kids?
It's very tough because there's kids in their class that have phones and iPads and things too, right? Mine, unfortunately, they don't for their own sake right now. The only time they get the iPad is if we're flying on an airplane, and then it's like, okay, so next 4 or 5 hours, you get something to play on games.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But it's not connected to the internet or anything. The one game that my son does play is Pokemon Go, but that's something I do with him. We drive around together, we walk around together, and he shows me how to catch these things, and I try to catch them. And
do you play the card game too, or just okay?
Yeah, and
I got a bunch of Pokemons here too.
Yeah, I figure it's weird. What he picked up was the value in these cards. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize how much some of these cards are worth, right? And so he actually collects them for putting in sleeves and binders and organizing them. And so I'm like, oh, okay, there's something here.
Yeah,
you can turn that to collecting, I don't know, gold or silver bullion one day. Yeah, but it's tough, and I try to be very. This is probably the helicopter part where certain music, certain whatever, I got to make sure that I know what it is they're watching.
Right.
I think they're going to have plenty of time to be exposed to all this stuff down the road, anyways.
For sure.
My house. There's always kids over. Weekends, there's always kids sleeping over. There's and so I've kind of made it a default to open it up. If they're gonna hang out and whatever, I'd rather be at my place on 100%. Our place. And so and most of the time it's like, sure, you guys can watch TV for a bit, but I don't know what you're watching. But most of the time they're outside. They're outside playing. They're chasing the fox. They're trying to hunt something outside. They're They're destroying forts. They're beating each other up. Like, this is good. Yeah, all the good stuff.
Yeah, the stuff, again, reminiscent of the 90s, the stuff that we grew up doing. There was no internet. Well, there was internet, but I mean, we weren't on it all the time, right? Outside beating each other up or whatever.
That's right. It was the real deal. And they're very, they're busy too into their hobbies. So, my oldest son, he's in jiu-jitsu and soccer, and it's like 4 days a week. So it's good. And then there's games between.
Nice.
Daughter's in piano and ballet, like as girly as it gets. So I'm like, cool, keep doing it. And my other son tonight, I'm taking him to Sackville for the wrestling practice there.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'll go in there, but I'll go in there. I'll throw my singlet on and I'll go with him too. So
right on.
Yeah,
right on. Do you do jiu-jitsu with him?
No, that one I never got into jiu-jitsu or any of the martial arts. I was always wrestler. So
okay. Well, wrestling is I don't know if I guess you can say martial art, but it's really good for self-defense anyways, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, because I've done some jiu-jitsu as well too, and wrestling's pretty, I don't know.
Yeah, you got some grappling and some grapplings and throws and things like that. So yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, so it's it'd be good to spend as much time with them as you can, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you're going with your son tonight, and my daughter has what does she have? Oh, I should know this. She's in the circus, so she has a performance tonight. So we're gonna go see that.
Oh, is that Atlantic school on the island?
Atlantic Circus.
Yeah, we always wondered about that because my daughter, she's really interested in gymnastics, and we drove by that. I'm like, wonder what they do in there.
Okay, cool. So they don't do gymnastics per se. I'm sure some of them probably do like the girls do, but it's just sort of circus. So they'll do the trapeze stuff, and I'll just do the floor routines, and I don't know, just stuff you would see.
So you go in with her too, then?
I don't go. My wife takes her, but whenever she has her every end of class or whatever, they have a performance, right? So we go see the shows and whatever. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, she loves it. And we took her. Cirque du Soleil was here last year, so we took my daughter to that. And she's like, "Oh, this is so much fun!" So she loves that kind of stuff.
Oh man.
So Anyways, spend the time with your kids because before you know it, they're gonna be old and.
Yeah, you said yours grew up pretty quick, right?
Yeah, they grew up quick. Yeah, we're thankful though because they want to be here and they still love being home. So my wife's like, no, kids will never leave the home. I'm like, well, at some point they need to leave home, but but they're great kids and they always want to be here. So it's nice.
They still want to hang out with dad though.
They still do. Still do. Yeah, we still hang out every night. As much as busy as I am, and some nights I'm just working because there's stuff that I need to do. Yeah. But I always make a point that every night we're gonna at least get together and sit down and have a meal together and watch a show or something like that. So watch some Star Trek or something. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Quality time.
So yeah, exactly. Got to have that quality time with the family. Social media. You said that you've stayed away from social media, that you hardly go on social media. Is there something that you would say that you've gained from not being on social media, or maybe is there something that you've lost from not being on social media? Like on a personal level?
Time, I would say I've gained. When I look at some of my friends, how much time they spend on these things and how much they know about things that they probably wouldn't have made a difference in their life if they knew it or not.
Yeah.
That's one. Do I miss out on probably updates and things that go on in my friends' lives and stuff? Probably. But then it's weird going through this journey in the last few years too. I've noticed my friend circle has very much shrunk and tightened up too. Once in a while I'll get people who reach out only if they need something. Which again, I'm like, when you never ever called me for a coffee or tea, but now you need something. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not the kind of person to hold that either, right? Like I do value loyalty and friends from a long ago where sure we're completely different lives now, but at one point, hey, you had my back or we were whatever too, right?
Right.
And sure, I'll help you out wherever we can.
The brother and the camaraderie you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. So there'll always be that sense, but I don't know what goes on in the world most of the time, unfortunately, to my own detriment. And in my industry, there's a lot of drinking, a lot of golfing, a lot of trips, a lot of things, and you get together with people and I have no idea what they're talking about.
Really?
I think it was in game 4 or 5 or whatever of the Blue Jays thing that that was the big knew about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just because I don't think it adds any value to my life or to most people's lives. And again, that's going to probably hurt a lot of people when I say that, but they win, they don't win, doesn't make you any better. It doesn't enhance your life or your family, right? So why devote so much attention to it?
It's not going to put any extra dollars in the bank account at the end of the day.
Exactly. If anything, it probably drew some money out of your account by participating, right? So
no matter what you say in life, you're going to offend somebody or somebody's going to. That's one thing I've noticed is that no matter what your opinions are, even if you're like, I think everyone should pet like bunnies, and someone's like, "Oh,
Somebody's
look at bunnies, they're
That's
terrible."
right.
Like, oh my! So you're never going to make everyone happy. So you might as well stop trying to and just be yourself and be like, "Okay, this is my opinion. This is what I think.
Yep.
It's okay to have opinions and things that you believe in." And like for me too, like. I love playing hockey. I love playing ice hockey. And when I was a kid, one of my biggest things was following the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll throw on a game, and I like watching a game. And the value that it brings to my life is that sometimes I just like to watch a hockey game, and I just have entertainment, and I enjoy doing it. And then that's it, though. But if I have, like you're saying, if I have other things that I need to do, I'm not going to waste my time watching a game and getting upset or pissed off about it or whatever, because I have more important things to do that are actually going to build the things that I want, you know? But if you think of it as just like, it's entertainment or whatever, then I think it's okay. Like, if anything, like social media, use it responsibly.
Yes.
Be moderate with it. You know, like if you know that it's taking things away, if you're getting addicted to it, gambling, pornography, all that stuff, it can get very addictive, and then it becomes a really bad thing in your life. So if you can know yourself and know where to draw the line, then I think, everyone can make those decisions for themselves.
I should say, like, I'm not on social media at all, right? Like, I have whatever Facebook and LinkedIn profile and all that, but
sure,
I don't actively seek posts or
Scrolling
postings.
and looking at the funny memes.
Yeah, like I use it for like going to recruit people or going to do background research.
It's a tool for your business.
Yeah, it's like anything. You treat it like candy. Once in a while, you have a little bit here and there, and you know, you wouldn't eat chocolate every day, but you got to have some type of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like you explained the hockey game, right? Something you enjoy and you like, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I took my son to go watch Messi play recently.
Okay.
And I'm only interested in soccer because he's interested in it, right? And he loves it at this age. And I'd rather him play soccer, be interested in soccer, learn skills rather than play video games, right? So I'm happy for that.
Play real soccer, not the video game soccer.
Exactly. So he wanted to do that, and if it was just me by myself, I'd be like, no, why would I pay to fly to Miami to go watch these guys play who get paid millions of dollars to do it, right? Good for them, right? I mean, great for them, right? I couldn't articulate on why I felt that way, and the person who did was actually Alex Hormozy. He talked about how if you're cheering for, like, say, a baseball team or whatever, right? You're basically cheering for laundry, because most of these guys aren't from your hometown anyways, right? So there's no connection there. And they trade teams so often that it's like you're really just cheering for the jersey, which is laundry. I'm like, holy smokes, this guy hit it on that.
That's right.
Never heard that. Yeah. So yeah, that was a Hormozy thing that I heard that was like, oh, okay.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like that. Or maybe just making me feel a little bit of shame.
But if you have a kinship to the game where you grew up playing it, right? That's a little bit different. Like I see wrestling. There's no glory in it. I was second in nationals, first BC, first Alberta, right? But that did nothing. Some of my teammates who went on, right, to compete in the Olympics, one won gold in Beijing, one won silver in Australia, right? They got Cheerios commercial. That's it.
That's it, eh?
Cheerios commercial, you're on a Cheerios box for a couple of months, and that's it, right? It's not like you're a soccer player or a hockey player where there's a whole bunch of sponsorship and contracts with you, right?
Right.
And so now, whenever the Olympics are on, I'll carve time to watch a couple of wrestling matches because, like, it's. I want to see the technique and
the personal connection there. Yeah.
So, but not to blindly watch because everybody else jumped on the bandwagon.
That's tough. And there's a lot of people that do that, especially with this whole Toronto Blue Jays thing. Everyone was a Blue Jays
everyone's
fan.
a fan.
Everyone's like, do you even know how to play? Do you know how many innings there are? Do you even understand the game? Like, oh no, it's Blue Jays. It's like, okay, sure. So one last question here about your kids. Like, what is it you want them to understand about the life that you're living? Like, do you want them to focus on the things that you've built? Or do you want them to focus on something else? Like, what is it you're trying to instill in them?
I just want them to, if anything, to remember about me is how I lived my life. So live without fear, live without caring too much about other people's opinion. Be respectful and all that, right? But at the end of the day, it's what you want to do, and you'll do it regardless. And it sounds cheesy, but I want them to follow their dreams and their goals. That's it.
Have they outlined anything so far about dreams and goals, or just you're still young? Eh?
They've got the kids' dreams, which you'll always try to encourage, no matter what, right? I mean, I've heard some parents say some things like, "Oh, you're too short to be that," or "You'll never be that." Like, why would you ruin it right now? Even if it'll never happen, doesn't matter. Why would you? Why would you kill their self-esteem, right? So, my wife and I talk about it all the time. Whatever we do, right? It's to build self-esteem, self-confidence, self-worth, And very, 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 very seldom do my kids hear the word no. It's if I don't like something he's doing, it's like, hey, would you rather go grab the garbage, or can you go grab the organics to the bin? Would you rather?
That's such a good way to frame it.
Yeah. Don't. There's enough negativity out there.
Yeah.
There's no need to add it to it
more,
at home,
especially in your home. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
New Year's is around the corner.
Yes.
And we talked about, you're going to be moving into the nine figures now. What are your thoughts about making New Year's resolutions?
None. If you're gonna do it today.
Yeah.
There's no better time. There's no perfect time. Having one day to determine the rest of your year, or to say this is the moment in time. I don't know. I think that's a fallacy created to sell Hallmark cards. Yeah.
Right.
That and
like Valentine's Day.
Yeah, why not love each other all year?
Right,
why not show each other all year, right?
Yeah.
I always, so my two favorite holidays are Canada Day and Remembrance Day, right? Like, I love this country. Yeah. Despite how I feel about certain things, where it's going and certain things that have happened, I still love this country. Would rather be here than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And Remembrance Day, because, you're being grateful for those who went ahead and served and gave us some freedom we have today. If everybody was grateful for these things and we were like that every day in our life, what kind of world we'd live in? It'd be amazing.
Much better world.
So I view, I guess, New Year's resolution the same way. My wife loves New Year's and the holidays, right? I celebrate it now because the kids, they feel a sense of magic about it.
For sure.
But also it's part of her family tradition, and we'll make the time, right? But growing up, I never really had Christmas. Some of the things didn't exist. With working in retail, you see a darker side of humanity.
The consumerism.
Yeah, the consumerism. People fight over things. Before, when it was just Boxing Day sales, and now Black Friday and all that. Just why? I don't understand. It's
constant. It seems like it's constant. You're being bombarded with things, and it's on sale, and get this now. And
that's right. The consumerism, the materialism, and it brings out a different side of humanity. And so that's sort of really turned me off of Christmas. If it's about getting together and enjoying a drink together and having family and friends, yeah, that's great. And same with New Year's too,
And you could do that all the time, because like you said, every weekend there's kids over at our house or whatever, we're doing things. You don't have to wait for Christmas to do that. You don't have to wait for these holidays. You can make those connections anytime.
Yeah, exactly. No, let's have a good time every day as you can, right? Be grateful and be positive. How about you?
In terms of like
with the New Year's and resolutions.
So I mean, with the kids, the kids, they love the Christmas and New Year, so we do all that. But with Christmas, what we do with the kids, like, they don't buy anything. So if they do stuff, they just make stuff.
Okay.
So like, well, if you know what somebody likes, just if you want to use your artistic, creative skills and just make something for somebody because you just want to do that because, you care for them or whatever, then great.
Yep.
But what it's about for us, it's about us getting together, spending time with family. Or, we're staying here, but most of our family's in Ontario. But if we go back home, it's like spending time with family. That's what it's about. For me, that's what the holidays is all about. And New Year's, we just use that as an excuse to just, the New Year's Eve is we just stay home and we take a little mattress, put it on the front of the TV and we just watch movies and we just eat junk food all day. So that's like the one day of the year that we could just, okay, the hell with everything. We're just going to, have some pizza and some junk food and watch some movies and just spend time together. So it's not about making resolutions or anything like that, because same thing with my kids. It's like, if you want to do something, do it now. Like, there's no better day to start than today.
Yep.
Why? And I always say to the kids, it's like, why do something later when you could do it now, or whatever, something like that, right? I'm like, they're like, oh, I'll do the dishes later. I'm like, no, you're gonna do the dishes now, because why would you wait till later?
Yeah,
So that's kind of the philosophy we try to instill in the kids. So yeah, New Year's, why? I don't know. Some people like it, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like. What's the failure rate of it? It's got to be high.
It's got to be high. I mean, the whole gym thing that people talk about all the time, about how all the memberships die down by like February or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's got to be like, let's go hard, or you can just be consistent day after day. And
exactly. You got to know what you want, and you got to know who you are, and then it doesn't become I got to wait till New Year's. It's just, it's what you do. It's who you are.
Some of the worst things I always hear is like, good riddance to 2024 or to 2025 or whatever, as if the last year was, I'm like, you should be grateful we got to live.
Right. That's one thing too.
Yeah. And then let's improve and look forward to whatever tomorrow is and next year and next month or whatever. Right.
But also what is a page on this imaginary calendar that we just kind of made up have to do with how good your life is going to be as well too.
Yeah. It's like some magic wand came and says, all right, it's all good now.
Well, nothing matters. And then like, no, it's, it doesn't quite work that way. Okay. So for the person that's listening here today, maybe they're stuck in a 9 to 5. They don't like what they're doing. They feel like they're suffocating. They don't know what they're doing with their life. What is it that you would say that they need to shift in their mindset in order for them to start taking that step, today, not New Year's, to start living the life that they want?
Start living the life. If you don't know what you want yet, but you know that you don't want,
you don't like the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Something in your life, you just know it's not right. You want more out of your life, but you don't know what that is and you don't know where to start. And that fear of the unknown and that paralysis kind of just keeps you in that safe spot of maybe it's a bad spot, but at least it's safe because it's what I know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I would say 3 things. First thing is action creates more action. So taking the first smallest step, if we use a gym analogy, right? I mean, start with 1 push-up and next thing you know, it'll lead you to the bench press and the squat or whatever, right? Start with something small. So one small action could just be like, let's start by researching a field you're interested in. So if you're interested in I don't know, let's say podcasting, right? Well, there's YouTube videos you can learn. You can learn from unconventional mindset. You just go down that and take some action, but then also do something about it, right? My personal standpoint. So this Friday, I'm really excited. I'm meeting with a guy who's probably one of the largest in my industry in North America. Ooh. And I reached out to him like 6 months ago. I never heard. I reached out again. And a few days ago, he replied back, "I'll give you 20 minutes of my time." Perfect. I'll hop on a Zoom call and we're just gonna,
right.
But take the action, right? And don't give up. Just
that wouldn't have been there if you didn't.
Yeah,
keep going. Yeah.
So the second thing would be there isn't anything that we've encountered or are going to encounter in terms of problems or situations or struggle that somebody in history hasn't already in some way, shape, or form. This is an old Will Smith thing, though. He used to say the 2 R's in life for him, right, was running and reading. Running because you got to keep going, but reading because, again, there's no problem that hasn't been encountered, written down, right? Somewhere in some book, right, you'll find some sort of solution, right? So find good books and good things to read, and there's plenty of recommendations if you find good, notable people that you respect, right?
Yeah.
In your field. Third piece of advice is find mentors. There's plenty of good people out there that nobody actually asks them for their time and advice, but just make sure it's the right mentors. So people who have been there and done that. There's going to be, I guess, I'll speak from the business perspective. There's a lot of business consultants out there. There's a lot of people that can theorize and come from academia to say how an MBA is good for you and how a business plan should go. But no business plan ever fails on paper.
Yeah,
everything's perfect. It's if you find somebody to guide you, somebody who's been there, done that, lived the trench, gone the path that you want to go. So in fitness, it's a lot easier to hire a fitness trainer and look at them and be like, okay, this guy or girl is in shape. I'm going to take their advice. In finance and in business, not so much because it's easy to hide.
Yeah.
And it's also...
You don't have access to the bank accounts.
You don't have access to all that stuff. And also with social media these days, with the amount of emphasis put on the facade, it's hard to distinguish what's real and what's not.
It's easy to make yourself look successful.
Yeah. And then, and this is why I've personally hesitated about doing social media and creating a brand for myself during this time, is because I've been in build phase and I'm still in build phase. I don't think I'll ever be out of build phase. You're always going to be going, right? But then you see the biggest in our industry, like whether it's Lindsay's or the Irvings of the world, right? We don't see their social media. They're working on building and expanding their empire. Between getting to the Irvings of the world and where we are here, there's a ton of noise and a ton of people who are going to sell you a lot of things.
Yeah. So when someone's going to be looking for a mentor, and they find someone, what can they do to get that mentor? Is it just a matter of, hey, reaching out on, LinkedIn or email, or
I found that reaching out on LinkedIn and even I've walked into businesses that I've admired and like, hey, I wonder if so-and-so is here, right? Most of the time you'll get a shutdown from the gatekeeper, but you keep trying and you go in, right? And oftentimes it's turned into very meaningful conversations and also connections in the future.
Yeah. I think if you could showcase that persistence too, right? Not so much that you're persisting as in you're too annoying, but it's like, oh, this guy keeps coming back every couple months and maybe he's actually is serious.
They might even offer you a job too. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true,
there. But you should also give them something of value as well. So in the case of this gentleman I'm meeting on Friday, right? His company is, doing 3 or 4 billion a year. So he's in a completely different universe.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I had to offer was I said, I can give you some insight on what's happening on boots in the ground as far as the industry and what I see and from a local geographic perspective. And he's like, okay, cool, right?
Provide some value.
Yeah. But at the same time, I also know he's got a full team of research that keeps everything, keeps all their intel up to speed. And he's at his chairman level, he probably doesn't even recognize most of the noise that goes on, right? So at least attempt to offer some value. One of my mentors here, right? I always make time to go golfing with him. And we always go golfing and we share good wine and good meals together.
Nice.
Always pick up the tab for your mentor. Don't let your mentor pick up the tab.
Oh, I guess that's a good point, eh? Yeah.
That's another rule of mine too, is if we're out eating, right? Friends don't like this, right? I said, the poorest guy at the table pays for the meal because you've gained more in mindset and mentality than the rest of us.
Because that's interesting you say that, because I was just going to say, wait a minute. If you're taking a mentor out to dinner or whatever, usually the mentor's the more successful one, so they should have a whole ton of money.
Yes.
But even still.
But there's a transfer of energy and information and the amount that you've observed. Like, that meal, whatever it costs, is priceless compared to what you've gained in value from that person and their time.
I never thought about it that way, but it's so true. Somebody was talking about this on YouTube. I don't know who it was, but it was a video where they're saying, okay, I'm going to look at this person who's an expert in their field.
Yes.
That's like some academic, whatever. And like the 20 years experience, whatever. It's like, I went to them and said, hey, listen, how much would it cost for me to spend a whole day for you to be able to like distill everything in like a day? And they're like, oh, like 10 grand. So he's like, perfect. Well, let's do it. And he's like, that person spent months and months curating this whole lesson, like putting all their knowledge into this one day like workshop that was face to face. And the guy's like, $10,000 was nothing, because I got like
first class
millions
education.
of dollars of education from this guy's experience in one day. And I got to bypass all of that. Yeah. So it makes perfect sense. If you're gaining knowledge from somebody, I mean, that's the currency of today. It's like skills and knowledge. Yep. So it's worth the meal or what have you.
It's worth more than what it is. And the other way I found was I'll offer to make a donation to a charity of their choice. Right? These guys don't need money, right? It's at least bring something of value to the conversation.
When you're talking to the mentor.
Like I know your time's valuable, right? And there's aside from taking out for lunch or dinner, there's really nothing I can do for you, but I'd like to make a donation in your name to whatever charity of your choice. Right?
Okay. Yeah. And now mail the tax receipt.
I'll send you the tax receipt. That's right.
Here's $100.
Oh, exactly.
Oh, that's funny. Amin, what a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining. It was an absolute pleasure. Man. Oh, yeah. And there's so many different aspects we can talk about as well too, both in business and both in life, in terms of mindsets here, in terms of how we kind of view the world, because I think we have a lot of similarities. So we'll have to have you back on again to dive a little bit more deeper into those topics.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.